Welcome to the Badass CEO podcast. This is Mimi McLean. I'm a mom of 5, entrepreneur, Columbia Business School grad, CPA, and angel investor. And I'm here to share with you my passion for entrepreneurship. Throughout my career, I have met many incredible people who have started businesses, disrupted industries, persevered, and turned opportunity into success. Each episode, we will discuss what it takes to become and continue to be a badass CEO, directly from the entrepreneurs who have made it happen. If you're new in your career, dreaming about starting your own business, or already an entrepreneur, the Badass CEO podcast is for you. I want to give you the drive and tools needed to succeed in following your dreams. Hi, welcome back to the Badass CEO. This is Mimi, and today we have Brooke Mason, and she is the founder and CEO of Brooke Mason Creative. This creative agency was a natural expansion of her already fast-paced career as a celebrity photographer. Brooke Mason Creative helps high-end clientele with their brand and creative strategy. Brooke, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited to hear about your business and your journey. So welcome. Thank you very much. I would love to start out just by your story and how you got started and how you became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, do you know what's so funny is because this word entrepreneur, by the way, thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for that intro. The word entrepreneur is just sort of going around and flying around the place the last couple of years. It's a very popular word. I never really thought of myself as an entrepreneur until finally I said, I better change that status on Instagram, and we'll put entrepreneur there, shall we? I think it's time. So I never really thought of myself that way. I just thought, I haven't really worked for other people that often, and I tend to just get ideas and business ideas and run with them, and being fortunate and dedicated enough for them to be successful. But I didn't really think of myself that way. I think perhaps it's good for people maybe not to think of themselves that way and just focus in on the business and the thing that you love to do and do that really, really well. And, whether it's like networking and getting more clients and things like that. And all of a sudden one day you're like, wow, yeah, I think I'm an entrepreneur, so I think it's sort of, it's a nice go backwards on it. I think, coin yourself an entrepreneur after the fact. I think it's always a good idea.
No, it's totally true. Especially because now I feel like the word entrepreneur has become so trendy, right? Like when I went to business school, I actually studied entrepreneurship and nobody was doing entrepreneur, but I just knew I wanted to run my own business someday. And I just love the idea of being your own boss and being in control of your own destiny. And that's kind of why I focused in on it. But I do like how you said, like, it's about building your business first, like what you love and what you're creative or good at or what you're exposed to. So can you just tell us a little bit about like your background and what got you to where you are?
Right. So I started as a photographer at a really young age. I was 12 years old. I was really obsessed with the darkroom and photography. And obviously, coming from a professional family, I never thought that was going to be a career, never thought that was a job or I could actually make money doing that. So I went on to do university, and then I was talent and I was getting paid to do modeling gigs and little acting gigs and things. And I said, well, that's fine. That's easy. And then I started a dessert business and actually got in Whole Foods, and I had 8 stores. And so I was doing all that all the meanwhile, working on my photography, and then started booking bigger jobs, and then sort of let everything else go and focused on the photography. The photography turned into more of a business than art directing and curating and really doing it for brands and things like that. So then the creative agency sort of spawned from that 5 years ago. So now I have an amazing team. And I know you had talked about teamwork, especially on your page and everything. I mean, teamwork is everything to me. And I teach courses in photography, and I talk about that. As a photographer, a lot of photographers think it's just one person. But without your team, like any business, without your team, you can't create the results that are going to make your end product fabulous, successful, and then those people hire you back over and over.
I love the fact that you brought up teamwork and how important team is. I think that's also one of the biggest struggles for people who run their own business is finding the right team. What process do you do? Like, how do you find these people? And when you interview them, do you have a way that you interview them or set questions? Or how do you find the right people?
It is such a good question because let me tell you, you don't hire the right people, you will not succeed. So you have to have those right people. And it is a skill that I think I'm still getting better at. I'm still developing those skills. I mean, it takes, I would say, if anyone, and don't take this for granted, interviewing people, take your time with it, be very precise with it. They could really, you're bringing them. I feel like when I'm interviewing someone and I'm thinking of bringing them in, I'm bringing them into our close knit little circle. We have laughter in the office. We have fun. We have our boba days, our matcha days. And we sometimes Fridays we get lunch in, and we have this little community in our office. And I'm going to bring someone into our little community. So that's a big deal. So I really take it seriously. There's a few things I look for. I look for a team player. Yes, we are all in our office leaders of those jobs we're doing. And I do want a little bit of leadership skills in terms of taking initiative and things like that. But in the end, even for myself, even as a leader, I feel like I'm part of this team. So teamwork is everything. No job is too small. Everyone takes out the trash. Everyone does their little bit. They put the dishwasher on, whatever it is. So there's no job too small or too menial that I feel. So I'm looking for qualities like, I'm looking for a little bit of sense of humor. I know that sounds like sort of a weird thing to look for, but I'm looking for that because I want people to, there's stressful times in the office, and sometimes clients aren't the sweetest to us. I mean, sometimes it happens. They're in a bad mood and we need to be able to laugh about it or say, did you hear this or whatever? And have this little gossip moment or, don't worry, clients, we're not gossiping about you all the time. but the point is you need to have it light. You need to be able to, have this trust factor. It does take a while. And what I tend to do is, so I narrow down my choices and I don't look for the most skilled person. Don't always look for the person that has the best resume or the best skills. There's skills that can be learned. My star employee right now, who's literally my rock, she is so incredible. She was probably, her resume was the weakest out of all the graphic designers and animator and people that I had interviewed. But when she sat across the table from me, there was so much warmth. And I just wanted to hug her. Like she was just so, you could just see so much care and love and warmth in her that I could see potential. And the last few years, she's just incredible. And she's grown. There's skills you can learn. You need to see potential. Look for potential in people. Look for warmth. Look for care. Look for people who are, need I say, humble. I look for these qualities because that will make someone, one, want to grow, two, be part of a team, and be excited at the little things, the little accomplishments that we're going to have along the way, because it's not always going to be a major accomplishment. Like we get the biggest client or we get like major advertising gig. Sometimes it's the little things that we're going to do that we're going to be excited about, like just the posting for social media for people, or just the little mini photo shoot or the product photo shoot where it's not like some big fancy brand. I definitely look for someone who's not starstruck, because I don't want them to think that every day is we're working with a celebrity, which we do, but I don't want people to get that that's how every day. I want them to be more excited of the little things. So I'm looking for those qualities. I think that is something that everyone should look for, and take your time and do a trial day or at least a trial week. So I'll have multiple people where I'll do a paid trial day, and then I'll sit with my staff and ask, okay, let's be real. What did you think of this person? What did you like about them? What did you not like about them? And so my team also helps decide of a new team member, because again, I may not be in the office and I may be with clients and I may in and out. They're going to be with that person day to day. That would be my take home for this, is that think about this as a group and a community effort to hire that next person. I mean, right. In the end, I have the final say, but I do want input, because I'm seeing that person may be on their best behavior to me and my team is seeing other things. One thing that I've noticed, and I won't even consider someone where someone is not nice to my team, but like super, super nice to me. And I want to know if they were a little abrupt on an email with my team.
Which is amazing that they would do that as they're interviewing, still be abrupt to your other teammates.
Yeah, and email etiquette. Like if you're going for a job, be not awkwardly formal in an email, be friendly and warm, but have formalities in the email. I've noticed so many emails from people trying to apply for jobs that don't even say hello at the top of the email, and they just start writing. So make sure, even if you're applying for a job, be very respectful and very polite.
I like that you brought up the point, because someone else I interviewed also said the thing where she does trials with them. And I never had experienced that before, but it is a really good idea. Like, hey, just come on, work for a week, couple of days, just to see their work ethic. Because you do know, like as soon as you hire somebody, you kind of know within 2 days, oh my gosh, she's going to be a rock star. He's going to be a rock star. This is bad news. Like I hired the wrong person.
Yeah. And be really clear with the person that you're going to do multiple trial days with different people so that they also don't feel like this is the be or end all, like they've got the job, so that the expectations are there that we're feeling this out and there's other people here. We're just got to feel out what the best fit is. And I tell them too, when we do the trial days, it also has to be the right fit for you, right? So it has to be the right fit for the person that's doing the trial as well as our team.
No, it's definitely true. So can you tell us a little bit about like what a creative agency does? Like how you took your skills from being a photographer and then how you transitioned it to your agency now?
It's so funny because a lot of people find it a very strange word, creative agency. They say, what is that? And I just think about everything that you see, any consumer touch point. It could be a website, it could be social media, it could be your brand, it could be the voice. It's almost like we create branding decks and all that. We create the foundation so that, say, your marketing team, though we do a little marketing, but I often work with companies where we do this foundation base. We create the brand, perhaps. We create the logo, the color palette, the look and feel. Perhaps the next step is the website, the photography, the advertising images, so that the marketing works. So that all the creative and all the visual and all that foundation is laid out so that now when you market yourself, people are interested. They understand who you are, what you're about, what your look and feel is, your professionalism and all that. And then there's a trust factor. So I talk about, some people say to me, I'm not a marketing agency where I can say, here's your ROI. I can do these ads for you and your return on investment will be this and this and this. My ROI is not, there's not a direct return on investment, but what I give to my clients is the trust and validity for the consumer or their customer. So they feel that this is a legit business, that it's either luxury, because that's the look and feel we do, or it's affordable or whatever, and so we create that image so that whoever's looking at it or going to it or somehow engaging in that brand, that it feels on point with the brand right across the board, even an email newsletter, anything that could be visually seen by your potential people. So coming from the directing, photography, art directing world to going, this was almost like a seamless transition. And it wasn't like I decided I'm opening a creative agency. It was just that I had certain clients that said things, could you do this? Could you do that? And as a creative person myself, I've coded websites way back in the day, and I've done all these things myself too. I mean, it's just, as creative individuals, we put our fingers and hands in all kinds of different pots. So I already knew these things. And I thought, well, let's bring a team together. I art direct the projects, which is what I've been doing for the last almost coming up to 18 years. And my team execute. We do videos, we do ads, we do obviously commercial photo shoots and things. And I know through this time, I always feel guilty to say, but I have had a good year because I've still been able to work for some really big companies. And we did the Rolls-Royce campaign this year. I did Bentley and McLaren. So that was towards the beginning of the year. They said,
that's
no,
amazing.
We still need the work. And I said, no, we're willing. Let's keep working. There were so many uncertain times at the beginning of the year that, I was just going to take whatever was going to come my way. I said, I'm not going to be fearful. And honestly, like as a photographer or doing video or anything, we're not close to anyone. You're 20 feet from your subject. So there was no issue.
That's great. So since you've started the business, which was 5 years ago, and then you also had, the other business that you talked about, which went to Whole Foods, what have you found as the biggest challenge for you as you've been building these companies?
Mindset. Having the right mindset. I mean, it's so easy to get swayed and feel despondent and you have to keep the energy up. And so whatever it is, there's a great book by Carol Dweck called Mindset, actually. And I've read that. Sometimes I go hiking and put it on an audiobook just to give myself an extra pump to keep going. There's going to be so many knocks in the road, and I'm lucky now we're very stable and we're doing very well in the agency. But the first couple of years, there was a lot of bootlegging and I was, funding a lot of things myself. And let me tell you, when you have to buy a editing station for another team member, because it's like the chicken and the egg, and you're spending $18,000, and you're like, oh my gosh, how can I afford this, and because, you need another team member to be able to do more work, and you need the editing pad and the backup drives and the big color calibrated monitors and you need all that gear. Is what actually prices have gone down a little bit now, but thank goodness. But it's not easy. So I encourage people to have a mentor, multiple mentors. I encourage people to listen to, book on tape, though we don't call it book on tape anymore. I was told the other day. But,
I love Audible. That's where I always tell people Audible is my favorite thing because there's all the books on tape or whatever you call it. That's what I love to listen to.
I'm a really big component of whatever it is, it's going to get that fire up your butt to get going, because keeping the right mindset where things, and when there's so much uncertainty in the creative world, I hear a lot of my peers, it's been tough. It's been a rough year, and you don't know what's coming around the door next, which now I'm so grateful that I do know what's coming around the door next is more clients because I've built this reputation. And that's something we should talk about, is like networking. And the more good feedback you get from people and the better jobs you do, and the more like you keep it's like a nice dominoes effect, and they will refer back to you. So networking is a huge thing, and telling your clients, if you have any other friends and this and that, like, giving freebies to your clients for something. Hey, if you did have anyone that wanted to work with me, I'd be happy to throw in another photo shoot for you, or I would happy to do this for you, or, so really encouraging referrals, especially early on. Give away free things or whatever it is to encourage referrals, and testimonials is going to be your biggest friend.
Yeah, that's very true. And in the beginning, I assume your initial clients were your photography clients.
Right. So they needed more things like, could you handle our social media? Could you, we need a new website. Oh yeah, we can do that. So it was a slow transition. There wasn't a moment where I don't even really know how it all kind of happened, because it was just a transition. And I think the best businesses in the end are this natural formation where, though I'll have to say, there's one thing that isn't a natural formation in terms of my work. We are very rigid and structured. So even though I'm saying that the business itself naturally transformed, say for instance, a photo shoot, I'm a very, very detailed person when it comes to the work. So like a photo shoot or even an Instagram page, we're so detailed. We come up with the look and feel, the color palettes, photo shoots. We have mood boards for clothing. We have references for makeup, for hair, for poses, for everything. We have it could be 15 pages of mood board just for a photo shoot. And, I've talked about this on some of my interviews for, or lessons for photographers and things, is that be really, really, really over planned. And then you get the shots you need in the can, and then have fun and then get creative. But it's really important to be very structured. So even though I'm talking about not being structured going into this business, at the same time, be very, very structured and detailed about the work that you're about to put out. And before you do the work, do the planning and have all the references ready to go.
I love that you bring that up, because I do think that systems are super important for businesses, because that's where you can maximize your efficiency and increase your gross profit and margins and make more money when you have these systems in place. And then there's not as many mistakes that your team can do, because if they're left kind of to make their own decisions without having proper systems in place, it's going to be different than your expectations, right? So,
right, yeah. And guidelines, like for instance, like you're talking about time. Say there's a photo shoot, we didn't have all that structure. We might take a whole day. Whereas if I have a lot of structure, I'll be done in 2-3 hours on that photo shoot. That's a huge cost right there.
Right. So you have pretty much your whole business, I would assume, like on systems, if it's from booking your calendar to internally and everything, I would assume. Was that hard to create?
It is difficult for creative people to switch brain mindsets to be more structured. So it doesn't come naturally for me, and I know it doesn't come naturally for my team, but we see the benefit in it. And I think it's probably not natural for a lot of people. And actually, I don't think it's natural for entrepreneurs, because we tend to we jump before we walk, right?
And we get a lot of different things, the ball's in the air. So it's hard to focus, right? And do that. Is there any kind of system that you'd use? Do you use like Trello, or is there any kind of system that you use to kind of keep your whole team on the same page?
Yeah, different. I know that some people use Teams, some people use Slack. One of my clients uses Slack. We pretty much do a lot of Google Docs, and we share that. I don't know if there's like one particular way.
And then the other, I would love to go back for a second, because I think you brought up another really good point that I love talking about is mentors and mentorship, because I didn't, looking back on my like experience, in my career, is I never kind of like went and sought an actual mentor to really help me. And I think that definitely hurt me. And I really suggest that for people. So do you formalize that process? Like if you, like how, one, do you find those mentors? And two, do you formalize that and be like, hey, will you be my mentor? Or is it more like just a casual, like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Or you kind of just call them and you just kind of make it more casual?
Definitely casual. I've had mentors that it's very popular in the Asian culture. And I had an amazing mentor who's Korean, and we just developed a friendship. And I think that's really the key there. Develop friendships with people that you would like to be your mentor. And he ended up being an amazing mentor for me just through friendship. And just, we would go for dinner and we would talk and we would just have fun chatting about all kinds of things and just kind of finding like-minded people that like similar things. I mean, he's being Korean. I think he's like very used to the mentor program kind of situation and helping people. I also had another mentor that was really important in my life. There's been different ones. My parents have been amazing in terms of my mom's an amazing entrepreneur. My father's a CPA. So they help me in different ways too. I suggest developing friendships with people and offer something back to that person in some way, giving back to them. I would love to just tag along one time or with you, or would I be able to help in your work some way, or intern, or, giving time or giving something that you can. And I know when you're starting out, it's not like you can give anything to the level of those people would be used to, but you could give time and you could give some sort of internship or time or something like that. So I would suggest that. Interns learn so much more than you could learn at school. So I've done quite a few intern programs. Inner City Kids, they have an extern program. And so I've had multiple people, and it's so good, especially for young people around 16, 17, 18 years old, and they're in school and they just, tag along and help however they can. I mean, it's going to be a huge benefit.
That's great advice. I like that. Okay. So the other thing I have as women, we all try to do too much, right? We're like multitaskers and trying to get everything in. Do you have a morning routine, like a specific morning routine? And is there anything that you do that you could share from your morning routine that kind of helps you be more efficient, more productive? If there's anything you could share from that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not naturally a morning person, but I've trained myself to get up between 6 and 6:30 every morning. I think that makes a huge impact as an entrepreneur. You have to be up. The early bird gets the worm. It has to happen. So those people out there who think, I'm not a morning person, I can't do that. You could just train your body to make it happen. I try to get some sort of workout in before I start my day, because then otherwise it's never going to happen. So I try to get a hike in, and on that hike, I'll listen to some Audible book. So I usually hike around 6 a.m. or so. I'm back by 7, ready at my desk by 7:30. We open our office at 8. I decided to make our office hours longer and have a half day on Friday for everyone. So we finish at 2 on Fridays. I think it's just a really nice work culture. Everyone gets a really good weekend, so they get to really relax. I don't necessarily get a weekend, being the owner, but I think it's really nice for the staff to feel so refreshed Monday morning, because it makes a big difference. For me, it's about getting up early, getting that fire lit, and going for it in the day, and being at my desk before anyone else comes in there, getting the office ready, taking those moments for yourself, checking the emails, sort of making a list. I love writing lists on paper. So I tend to have lots of lists all over my desk on paper. And so I'll write all the lists. And often the night before, to sort of like get junk out of your head so you can sleep better, is I'll write lists to my staff. Oh, tomorrow we want to focus on this, and don't let me forget this, and this. So I'll do those things while I think of them, so I can try to shut off before 10 p.m. And then, the next day I'll be at my desk again, writing some lists, and then the staff come in, they get their coffee or whatever. And then around 8:30, we might have a morning meeting and just sort of check in where everyone's at, what they're doing, what the plan is for the week. If it was the beginning of the week, what the plan is for the remainder of that day, what's happening this week. Do we have photo shoots? Do we have this, when I'm going to be in the office, when I'm going to be out, so they know where they can rely on me or not be there or whatever. So there's all those kinds of things that then we just go off with our day and get all the creative stuff done.
That's great. It made me think of something while you were talking. Because you're super creative, but now you're the owner of the business, how much of the time do you spend actually on creative stuff versus having to spend on building your business, finding clients, kind of more of the overseeing and kind of the big picture stuff?
This is one of the biggest challenges I have because I really need to be networking and out there and getting more clients and bringing them in and all that. But at the same time, there is a lot of creative things and I micromanage a lot of things. I don't like other people to process, or I only do the retouching on the pictures. Obviously a lot of the time I'm the photographer. Wow. Depends on what the picture's for, but I just had a staff member put a picture out and they sent it to the client without approval. That's another thing I don't let happen. Nothing goes out without approval because I need to see and make sure the quality control's there. And she sent a picture and the retouching was like not where it needed to be. And I wasn't happy about it. So I said to the client, please disregard this picture. I'll take care of this today. So I went in and retouched that picture and made sure that it was like.
Wow, then that's a lot of work for you because your hand's still in the pot and it's hard to kind of do both, right?
It is hard, but that's why you got to get up early.
Yes, and be very efficient and have lots of lists. Is there any advice that you would give an entrepreneur that's either just starting out or thinking about starting out, any kind of last minute, especially as a female?
There's a few things. I know that some people think, should I get an investor? Do I bootstrap this myself? I mean, what's the way to do it? I'm a believer in bootstrapping. I think if you get an investor, it's almost like you're not really an entrepreneur anymore, right? So you're really working for someone else, which it's a different way to look at it. And I do have entrepreneur friends who get investors. But I think my advice is don't do it right at the beginning. Have a proven recipe first. And I do say, get up. I know this sounds like so menial, but get up early, write lists, be as structured as you can, be as diligent as you can. Try not to leave anything unturned. Doesn't matter what the business is, but try to be as detailed as possible and start. It's so much easier now to follow people on Instagram, follow what they're doing, stories, YouTube, podcasts, listen to podcasts like this, getting ideas, whatever it is that can give you some extra ideas and things like that. And mentorship, interning somewhere, even if it's just like one day a week somewhere, give up one of your days or give up 2 of your days a week and intern somewhere while you're growing your business with someone that or a business that you want to be in, right? Of course.
No, it's very good advice. And there's so much out there. Like you're right. I mean, it's almost too much, right? Like as far as like the information overload when you want to continue learning, especially in the social media world. But it's definitely, I appreciate all that advice. And I think for people who are thinking about starting a business, like it's hard work, right? You're taking a lot of risk. And that's what people don't realize. Like as an entrepreneur, as a CEO of a company, you are taking the risk of like buying that $18,000 computer and making sure you find the clients that can pay for that. That is good advice. You are working for yourself, but you also have to take a lot of risk. And I like your idea about the financing. I had a venture capitalist on and I loved her quote. She said, think of giving money as like cutting off your big toe, because that's kind of what it's like to get money. It's very kind of sexy to say that you have investors, but there's a lot of accountability. And then you've also, what's your valuation? And if it's early on, like you said, then your valuation is much lower than if you wait and you're higher revenue, right? So I do agree. So I assume you've personally financed this and have.
I've done it the long road. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a long road, but I've done it that way. And there was a quote that you put on your Instagram, which I absolutely loved. It was about what if, and it was crossed out, and you said, why the F not? So I thought, well, that's a great way to kind of leave on, because that's so my humor too. It's like, just do it. I mean,
just do it.
Don't risk your house. Don't mortgage your house. Don't do things like it unrealistic, but go for it. Really just go for it. But it was interesting. You said one other thing about being distracted by all the different social media, this and that. Keep laser focused, right? So that would be my key. Just keep really laser focused, put in the hours and time, and network.
Right, and network. And I think you just brought up another good point too, is about how, especially after going through COVID right now and quarantining, and so many people, especially creative people that probably in Hollywood, still don't have their jobs back, right? And so I tell anybody now, like, if you don't have a dual income, if you don't have another source of income, like if you're working for one person and you don't have something else on the side, you're kind of crazy. Definitely, like if you have a normal job and employer, then find a passion. Like if it's sewing sweaters, start sewing and like start building that business on the side, whatever it is, right? Because like in this world, you see now that like you can't rely on that one stream of income if you have an employer, and I think that that's super important just to be we all should be entrepreneurial in some way, even if we have a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very scary for people. I mean, I've had friends who say, I don't know how you do it. I have to go to, the job every day and have that regular paycheck. I don't know how you do it. I think as an entrepreneur and in this position, there is a natural inclining that you are that way. You're built that way. So there is that. If it is really scary to you, it's like you say, do it as a side job, right? If it is like terrifying, the idea of like giving up your main job, well, don't give up your main job, but do this as well until the thing you're doing that you're passionate about ends up being bigger than your main job, and let that go. So
right. And I think you and I, we both like to work, I would assume, right? And I think that's one thing about entrepreneurs is they like to work. They look at work as not work. They look at work as like fun, right? And so I think that's another thing. Entrepreneurs have to enjoy what they're doing and you have to really like to work. And that's the difference, I think, by somebody who wants a 9-to-5 job, who's looking forward to 5 o'clock, go home, watch TV, hang out, do what they like, right? And most entrepreneurs don't know how to turn it off.
Yes, that's true. I think turning it off is the biggest challenge for me. Or just actually saying, okay, no work right now. And then, it takes me about half an hour or even an hour to decompress after a day. I'm still thinking about things. I'm still thinking of things for my clients. I mean, to me, I feel like I'm doing charity and I'm getting paid for it. I mean, it's just so amazing that I can make everyone look good and be more successful. I mean, that makes me so happy. And actually, this is what great thing I have about my team. My team are excited when my clients are successful because of the work we did.
Because you have a direct impact, right? And then you're so high profile that people see it. It's like directly in the media. And so it is, right there and it's impressive.
I do feel like I'm still the face behind the brand. There's that part of the introvert part of me that still likes to be the face behind the brand.
Yes, but you are definitely a strong presence to the brand. I think people are hiring you. So, and you did an amazing job and you have a great presence on social media and on Instagram, and your website is brookemason.com. And so anybody can check it out. And if they're looking to have some great creative talent put into their brand to reach out to you. Any other last minute tips or anything else that we missed?
Just talking about social media in general. Definitely major for my clients now. And that's a major thing that happened during COVID is that everyone understands the digital arena more than ever before. So it's an amazing free way for you to get out there that we didn't have as such a big access to as we did before.
But now you brought that up. That's a good point. Does it depend on the client or do you have a personal preference to a platform?
Depends on the client, but mostly at this stage, it's Instagram. That's the biggest platform right now. Facebook, some clients, but still Instagram is the strongest.
Yeah. And have you done TikTok at all?
We have a little bit, but it does cost the client a lot more money. There's a lot more time involved. And it's sort of like weighing up the options. Is it really worth it? And now look, Instagram has all the IGTVs. So they're really trying to compete with that. They have all these cute little videos and things you can do. So they're sort of trying to take over the TikTok arena.
Well, it's true. And this is perfect for you for COVID. I mean, as far as, I hate to say it, but like anybody that's helping a company get online digitally is where it's at, right? Because if a company has not figured out how to kind of move over and have more of a digital presence, they're going to become a dinosaur and be lost. So everyone has to figure that out now, and they have to embrace it, even if they weren't willing to before.
Right. And now people are understanding they have to spend money in it. Before, it was very hard for people to want to do that. So it's a good thing. I did not watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix because I actually am a really big advocate of social media because of what I do.
I think I watched it. I think it's more relevant for kids and teenagers, and I think with that movie, it was more about these, especially teenage girls, making their self-identity based on that, like who liked them, who didn't like them, what they look like in a post. Just put that on the phones and go interact like you and I did when we were teenagers. Like you see teenagers now go out to dinner and they're all like out to dinner, but they're all on the phones. And you're like, put the phone away and talk to each other. I think that's kind of like what my takeaway was for my teens is like that social media is not their world. They're purposely manipulating you guys to be that way. I think for your company, it's not as pressing. It's more like for just teens and how it just manipulates them and minds. It's
yes. I mean, it is manipulative because this is what I do. We want to put a brand out a certain message. We're not going to put out a bad message. So
yes. No, it's totally true. But this has been amazing, Brooke. Thank you so much. I've learned so much and I love your feed and everything that you're doing. And your photography is just unbelievable. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you for joining us today on the Badass CEO podcast. Please visit us at thebadassceo.com to get your top 10 tips to be a successful CEO. Also, please join us at the Badass CEO Community Facebook page, where all entrepreneurs come together to share their journey. You can also email me at mimi@thebadassceo.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you can leave a review for the podcast, I would be so appreciative as it helps others find us. Until next week, go follow your dreams.